Hey there. So actually in this video, I thought I would start with, well, post-processing, with actually modifying the microphone so it sounds really amazing under OBS. But then I realized, well, wait a minute. I actually need to explain a lot about how to install the plugins and how to use them, how to make them available from inside of OBS. Um, so yeah, really simply starting with the tutorial videos on how to modify the sound, I need to explain how to install additional plugins that you're going to need if you want to do it the way I did. Um, don't worry, it sounds scary, but it really isn't. I will show you this step by step and it will just work out fine. Okay, first thing first, we need to install, or we need to decide whether we want to use our normal input, a normal input device from Windows, or if you want to install a ASIO device into OBS. If you want to do that, you need the first plugin already. It's not officially a function of OBS, but that plugin includes that function. Why would you want to use ASIO? Because ASIO completely bypasses Windows and as such doesn't have anything that messes up the sound in between. That means you have less delay. So the difference between you speaking, or the time between you speaking and the sound being on stream, is going to be lower. And it potentially has better sound because, well, nothing messes with the sound until it gets there. And maybe it is even a more stable connection. It depends a bit on how well the ASIO implementation for each audio interface is, but anyways. So if you want to use ASIO, you need the first plugin already. And it is this one. So OBS ASIO. This is the website where you can find it. You simply scroll down until you find the assets. It might be closed down. If it is, simply click on assets and it opens up. In here, you choose the Windows x64 installer. So I pretty much presume anybody is using a 64-bit version of Windows. I mean, why would anybody at this point use 32-bit anymore? Because whatever PC only supports 32-bit is going to be ridiculously old. Anyways, so 64-bit it is. You simply click on that and it downloads automatically. And then you simply open it up. As you can see, I downloaded it twice. Actually, let's remove that crap before I get a lot of secondary downloads. But yeah, so you you simply open it up. The security warning comes pretty much because it doesn't know the publisher. It's most of the time a thing if you install free plugins. But yeah, or if you use a free installer. But anyways, simply say run. Windows does want me to well, confirm that I allow the plugin to, or the app from making changes to the device, which pretty much means it's going to install something. So yeah, this is the actual installer, and you simply say next and install, and that's it. Okay, after install, it will say finish, or maybe one more time next and then finish. But that is pretty much it. I cannot install it because I'm already using that plugin. All right, so that is this one. Now let's talk about the actual audio plugins that we are going to use to change the sound around. There are tons and tons and tons of plugins available on the internet. So whatever you want to use, go wild. Try everything out. Why not? I mean, it might work, it might not work. It depends somewhat. But at least the VST2 function from inside OBS is actually quite stable. So yeah. If you want to have a simple solution, simply use the plugins that I'm using. Though that means you will need to create your an account at one website for one of the plugins. If you don't want to do that, you might need to find another plugin that does the same thing. It will not exactly be the same to use, but in the end, it's at least similar. Anyways, so we want to have a few plugins. The first plugin, or the first kind of plugin that I'm using, is a so-called equalizer. It is called TDR Nova. And yeah, this equalizer looks very elaborate, but it's simple enough actually. So if you want to download it, you simply scroll down until you find the free download section. Depending on how big your web browser on your screen is, you will maybe find it on the right side. Doesn't matter though. Search for the free downloads and choose the Windows installer there. You say simply accept and download because, well, that's pretty much what it wants from you. And as you can see, it downloaded the file automatically, so you don't need to subscribe to any emails here. You can simply close that. Right, so here is the zip file. Inside of the zip file, you will find another installer. You can extract it and then open it, or you can simply double click it to open it. Again, Windows does want me to accept that it does make changes. This is why the display is for a moment gone, because, well, Windows even prevents plugins like that from working, or captures like that. Anyways, so you choose next on this installer. Obviously, you say I accept the agreement, say next again. You can install all the plugins, but if you want to use as little as possible, simply install the 64-bit VST2 plugin. You can install the VST3 plugin as well, but it will not work within OBS. So that's up to you. Anyways. So 64-bit VST2 plugin, that one is mandatory. Everything else is optional. Well, whether you need that or not, you will know that best. So you say next, and you simply say next and next and install, and after that it will say finish. I will not finish this installer because, well, I have them installed already. But yeah, that is simply how to install this plugin. Next up is actually a package of plugins, at least potentially. There's a lot of different things included in this package. So that is why it is called ReaPlugs VST FX Suite, because it's a complete package of different plugins. But we are going to need only one of them. Anyways, so you choose the second download, the 64-bit download. And don't worry, because that plugin is old, or that download is old. The plugin still works just fine, at least from, well, inside OBS. Okay, so you downloaded that file, and again, you find it in your download folder. You simply double click it. Again, you get that security warning. This time it actually remembers that, or it knows that publisher, but it still wants me to say, do you want to install it? I'm going to say run. Again, Windows does want me to confirm that I agree with that software making changes to the computer. Again, that simply means it will install files. But yeah, that's a change to the computer. Okay, so you say I agree, and then you can uncheck whatever you can uncheck. The first one, as you can see, you can't uncheck, but yeah, everything else you can uncheck. Everything but refer. So this one. This is what we are going to keep, because that is the noise removal plugin that we want to use. So again, you say next. Then you simply say install, and after that, probably next and finish, or right away finish. I already installed that, so I'm going to not finish this installation. All right. So next plugin, the next plugin that you can download freely is going to be LoudMax. So LoudMax, you simply choose this download, VST2 plugin for Windows PC. It has both the 32 and 64-bit version. I'm going to tell you which file to install, because this is literally just a zip file. It's a bit unfortunate, but yeah, this is inside of that file. We need this one file here. So where do you put it? It depends on where you installed your plugins to. It might be. Actually, let me show you which one it might be. So, I'm clicking on this. There you have the choice for different folders. You click on Program Files, and if you find a folder Steinberg in here, you simply go on that, and under that folder you will find a folder VST Plugins, and that is where you are going to install these plugins to. If you don't have that, you click on Program Files and Common Files, and under there you will find a VST2 folder. If you installed any plugins before this, one of those two folders will be there. So again, you simply choose that folder. You might also do it like I did and make a subfolder inside of, in this case, VST2, in the other case, that VST plugins folder. You can create subfolders, it doesn't really matter. Anyways, so this is how you can choose the folder and simply install it there. So I have it already installed. Because of that, I get this message, but yeah. For you, if you never installed it, there you go. If you want to update it, you can replace that file, and that's going to be it. Right, so one more download. Again, this is the one download that needs an account on the website, but there is no, no hidden payment or anything. It simply requires that account at that website so you can download the plugin. So It is T-De-Esser Plus by Techivation. This plugin is, so what is a de-esser? Let's explain that first. Sometimes you have somebody who has quite harsh S sounds, and if so, that person might sound quite grating, especially if you use the microphone very close. In that case, yes, a de-esser really helps to keep it to a minimum. And actually, I'm using a de-esser right now. And it reduces the sharp S sounds by 10 decibels. That's less than half as loud. So you might get an idea here why you might want to have a plugin like that. If you don't want to have this, you might want to search for a plugin named LISP, LISP. It is completely free, but it has no official download anymore. But there are different VST websites that still provide a download for that. And it should be a zip file, not an installer. So if any website for Lisp does want you to install some exe file or run some exe file, don't. That's highly dodgy then. Anyways, so if you are using this, like I recommend you to do, then you simply click here on download now. And again, it will ask you to enter or to create an account, or if you already have one, you click on login and choose it from and go from there. I'm pausing this for a moment because obviously I don't want anyone to see my login data here. So after you entered your login, you land on this folder and you might get the message has been added to your account. In that case, you will find T-De-Esser Plus under the free downloads. You simply click on download installers, and that's that. So let's do that. It's again a zip file, a quite big one actually, 25 megabytes. That's no slouch for a VST file, yeah. Especially since it's just a de-esser, but again, it works, and that's why it is worth it, at least to me. Right. In the zip file, you will find a folder, and in the side of that folder, you will find an installer. Techivation T-De-Esser Plus Windows installer. You simply you can double click on it, or you extract it and double click then on it. It's up to you. So again, Windows does want me to agree that it does make changes to the device. And again, that simply means it will install files. So you say next, and you say I agree to the agreement, or I accept the agreement. Next. Simply again, next. You can install all that crap, but the only plugin that you're going to really need for OBS at least is the VST2 Legacy 64-bit plugin, not the 32-bit plugin. So make sure you're using the right one. So again, you say next, then it wants you to choose a folder here. Then you say next, then you say again next, and then you say install, and probably after that either directly finish or maybe next and finish. I have those things already installed. Because of that, I am going to cancel this installation process. But yeah, that is how to install all the plugins that I'm going to use for the remainder of the videos that I'm going to release later on. Right. So after you installed all of these plugins, you can open up OBS. And inside of OBS, there are different ways to actually include the microphone now. Most of you, if you already included the microphone, will know about this. By default, you go into whatever scene you want to add a microphone to. And you choose the plus button and choose audio input capture. That is the normal Windows device. So if you're not using ASIO, and for, again, like I said, for USB microphone users, it's most likely going to be this, until you have a microphone that actually has a proper ASIO driver. But again, I wouldn't know, and there aren't many that have one. Again, ASIO for all doesn't count. ASIO for all isn't actually an ASIO driver. It is a software that behaves as if it was an ASIO driver, but it actually uses a Windows device. And if you go that detour, you can simply choose the audio input capture instead. But yeah, if you use audio input capture, it's really straightforward. I will name this tutorial simply for the sake, well, of having it. Actually, I have one already. Let's remove this one. As you can see, you can still hear me because I have this one, but that's beside the point. So again, audio input capture you choose. You name it whatever you want. I name it tutorial. You would probably name it microphone, like I did here on the actual microphone that I'm using. Then you choose whatever is the device for your USB microphone or audio interface. I removed that one because that's pretty much it. All right. So again, if you want to do it with the ASIO capture and you have installed that ASIO plugin for OBS, then you will find this function, ASIO input capture. So in that case, you use this one. Again, I name it simply tutorial for the sake of having a tutorial. And in here, you will only find ASIO devices. So if you find nothing in here, or at least you don't find your actual USB microphone or audio interface, that means you don't have an ASIO driver. But yeah, so if you have one, you will find your audio interface here. You can change this format to mono or stereo. The only difference is that you have to choose your file for stereo 2 times, for mono 1 time. It doesn't change that the sound is going to be on both sides. It's not going to be only on one side if it is mono. That's not what mono is. But yeah, I'm choosing mono here, simply to keep it simple. Then I say okay, because right now you cannot choose anything in here. I have no idea why that is, but at first it always seems to be invisible. You say okay. And I'm back in just 1 second because I need to mute this because else you hear me twice. So if you want to add plugins now, and that is the part on how to actually add the software that's going to change the microphone, then you click on the 3-dotted button below whatever input you just created inside of the audio mixer. What you can also do instead, if you don't find it in the mixer, you can simply right-click on that source that you added and choose filters there. But yeah, It's the same either way. You will open up this, this prompt, this window. And by the way, it is the same no matter if you use an ASIO input or a normal input. This works exactly the same either way. Right. So if you want to include a VST plugin, and again, we installed 4 different plugins first. If you want to use a VST plugin, you click on plus and you choose VST2X plugin. Again, this is why I said you need to install that 64-bit VST2 plugin, because 2X doesn't support 3X plugins, obviously. Right, so you choose this and it asks you for a name. For the first one, I recommend you to name it simply EQ, because that's what it is. If you installed the files correctly, you will have all of them listed here. The one that we want to add to the EQ thing is TDR Nova. Then again, you click on the plus button and choose VST2X plugin. And this one we are going to name denoise or denoiser. Doesn't matter. Yeah, that's how you name it, and you choose refer here. Refer standalone. There it is. Next up, you click on plus, but this time we don't choose VST2X plugin, but Expander instead. You don't need to rename this because that's quite a fitting name. What you might want to do at first is to put this one down to -60 so it doesn't do anything by itself. At least nothing that you can immediately notice. But yeah, that's that. Next up, you click again on plus and choose VST2X plugin again. And we are going to name this one Maximizer, because that's pretty much what it is. It maximizes the loudness of that sound. So we are going to choose LoudMax here. And that's that. Last plugin that we are going to install is again a VST2 plugin. And we are going to name this one T-De-Esser. Whether you use the completely free version LISP that you found somewhere, or if you choose T-De-Esser, doesn't matter. Simply name it T-De-Esser here. For this tutorial, though, I'm going to use T-De-Esser. And I chose this one because it is both very effective at what it does, and it's super easy to use. It's stupidly easy to use, actually. Much easier than even Lisp. But yeah, those are all the plugins. If you installed them in this order, it should be no problem for you to follow along with the tutorial later. And that's that for this video. In the next video, we are going to start with the actual EQ. Thanks for watching. Bye.